Hi, I'm Anthony Buonaspina. I'm the CTO of My Blind Spot. We're here today to discuss topics which you're interested in as far as accessibility. If you'd like to, post any questions and so on, feel free. But basically, what we do here is accessibility testing. And if anybody out there doesn't know what accessibility is, it's basically making the world accessible to people with disabilities, people with all abilities. If you have any kind of disability and so on, if you are trying to surf a website, for example, or an iPhone app, and you find there's blocks that you can't navigate, we help with that. We help companies fix their accessibility issues. We detect, do audits, check, websites out, iPhone apps out, Android apps out, as well as also physical devices for accessibility. If we do discover an issue, we go through and also help remediate that issue. That's basically help the company fix these issues. We also train on how to fix it. We teach a fisherman to fish here. So we have lots of work as far as accessibility goes, and we'd rather the whole world understands how to fix their own problems when it comes to accessibility. We encourage schools and universities to incorporate this into their programs as far as software engineers and so on, learning about accessibility. This way there won't be any problems and someday we won't be needed. But at this point we are, and we have companies that we're dealing with very large Fortune 500 companies that we're helping address their accessibility issues and remediate their websites. The founder and CEO of My Blind Spot is Albert Rizzi. He should be joining us shortly. And if you have any questions at this point, please post them, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. Some of our clients and so on include we have Cablevision, for example, Long Island. We've helped them remediate some of their issues. We also have some financial companies, airlines. We also do a lot of financial industry, companies, and as well as the educational universities, state organizations. There is basically a knowledge of like schools themselves have a there's no real class or degree you could take for accessibility at this point. We're encouraging, like I said before, universities to actually offer those degrees. We're also encouraging companies, larger corporations and so on, to ask to have accessibility certifications added or knowledge added to their job descriptions when they're looking to have a placement. This way, the whole goal here is to make it a more accessible world. And in order to do that, we want to be able to have the expertise out there as far as training to individuals, to students, and so on. Do you have any other questions?
We're waiting for Albert to join.
Okay.
We have Anne-Marie Buonaspina watching.
Well, Anne-Marie, hi. It's nice to see you've joined. I'm not the only one here. Okay. All right. So what else do we have going on? We have also, besides the testing and auditing and so on, we do also these automated tests of websites and so on, which basically aren't that accurate, but we can do that in a few seconds, just run through a test. Another reason we're doing this is, as of 2018, as of January 1, it's basically now relatively illegal to have an inaccessible website or iPhone app or Android app. If you do, you can get sued by the Department of Justice. There are lawsuits out there now. There's more popping up every day. Major companies are getting sued. And you're not talking just about a few $100,000, you're talking in the millions. It could be $1 million a day. The same company can get sued daily if they don't fix it. It's equivalent to putting up a building without a handicap ramp or curve cut or handicap spots and so on. If you don't have that, you're in violation. So the same thing with a website. Target, for example, was sued $6 million for their inaccessible website, and it cost them over $20 million to fix it because of the timeline the Department of Justice set for them to fix it. So realistically, you want to engage a company like My Blind Spot, which we're an advocacy group, nonprofit, and we'll guarantee, because of our certifications and so on, that a website is certified accessible. If you have that, the chances of getting sued are, very low. We also help you generate an accessibility statement, which is basically a little link on the website that says, hey, this is what's working so far, and if something's not working, we're working towards compliance, and these are the steps we're taking. And if you do have an issue, please contact, and there'll be a phone number, an email address listed. That's very important to have, especially if you're still in the development or, starting to remediate your website. We also have partnerships with other companies, many other companies. Specifically, we have a partnership with UsableNet, which is a company that offers a nice program we use called Aqua, which allows us to not only automate and test a website very quickly, but allows us to go in and certify it, line by line and violation by violation as far as where the issues are. As far as the other part of it too is that it allows us to do usability testing. Now what's good about that is that we have over 65, I think 70 testers right now, international, national, and around the country, testers of all abilities. And we can put once a website is getting to a level of compliance, we can put it out to these testers to basically certify the website is, usable. And the difference between usable and accessible, accessibility is more like the WCAG guidelines, which are through the W3C, and that it's basically a list of guidelines and rules that you need to follow to make a website accessible. If those guidelines are violated in any way and so on, you can get sued. So basically, we go through and make sure that a website is compliant with all those guidelines. But that makes it accessible. That means that a radio box is, can be checked, ticked off, and so on. A checkbox can be checked. A field is labeled properly. But the issue is that whether or not something is usable is something totally different. Usable means that a person with a disability can go to a website and actually use it, get through a page, for example, in under a few minutes. Being accessible may mean that the person might require 20 or 30 minutes to get through a page because it's convoluted, whatever, but it's still accessible. The problem with that is that it's not really fair because you really want to make the user experience better for everyone. And by fixing a site like that and making it usable, you've made it usable also and better for everyone, people of all abilities, and so on. As far as also creating, we offer what they call ongoing certification of a website, which will go through on a monthly basis or quarterly basis and test the site regularly with these testers. And we'll give you a certification, a seal of approval, basically. We'll put it on the website and say, you guys are good going forward, and it's being checked on our end. We also have people, when we say people with disabilities and so on, we have all the different modalities of disability that we use for testing. Because just because you may be blind and so on, or you might be of a cognizant issue, but also you have to make sure it's for the mobility impaired. You would have to be able to also for anybody with color blindness. There are over, in this country alone, 25 million people that are blind, 350 million people worldwide. When you bring in people with all disabilities, you're dealing with about 1.3 billion people. It's a lot of people. So when we approach a client, they usually come to us or we approach them, but when they come to us, it's one of three reasons. One is that they got sued. Two is that they are looking to do this for the right reasons, which is a good thing always. The third thing is also, as we approach a client, is that it's from a marketing standpoint. They're missing out on 1.3 billion people in the world. Just like, for example, there was one of the companies had a wrist, a bracelet on their wrist that would count calories and so on, and how many steps you've taken. I told the company, if you make that thing vibrate, you've opened yourself up to 350 million people in the world. The other aspect of it too is that these, even just in the United States alone, the 25 million people that have blindness and so on control about $8 trillion worth of income. So that's a big deal when you're dealing with